Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. In this video, we will continue learning chapter 2 titled Equations, and we will be focusing on subtopic 2.2, which is quadratic equations. By the end of this video, you should be able to define quadratic expressions and equations, and also solve quadratic equations by using factorization method. First, let us see the definition of quadratic expression and quadratic equation. A quadratic expression is an expression of the second degree, meaning that it contains at least one term that is squared. Meanwhile, a quadratic equation is an equation of the second degree, which means it also contains at least one term that is squared, and it can be rearranged into its standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0, where a, b, and c are numerical coefficients and x is the unknown variable. In this first example, we are going to learn how to solve quadratic equation by using factorization method. There are various methods that you can use, but first, let us learn to do factorization without using the calculator. I am sure many of you have learned this in school, but let us revise this again as this will help your mathematical skills. Now, let us try to solve this quadratic equation. First of all, we need to look at the coefficient of x squared. In this case, we have the coefficient of x squared as 1. Now, we need to decide which two numbers to be multiplied so that we can have the coefficient of x squared as 1. For this case, it is very simple because when we have 1 times by 1, which means 1x times by 1x, we will have x squared. Now, we will look at the number at the back here. And again, we need to choose which two numbers to be multiplied so that we can have 7. Obviously, for this case, we only have 1 times by 7, that will give us 7. You might be wondering either to use 1 times 7 or 7 times 1. This will come by experience and practices. As for now, we will just put the smaller number at the top and the bigger one below it. At times, you will see that you might need to switch between those two numbers. Next step, we will do cross multiply, which is 1x times by 1 to give us x, and 1x times 7 to give us 7x. And now, we will need to decide which signs to use so that when we add up these two, we will have positive 8x in the middle. So for this case, when we use positive x plus with positive 7x, we will have positive 8x. And we will use this sign for the first factor and this sign for the second factor. And therefore, we will have our first factor as x plus 1 and our second factor as x plus 7 equals to 0. And hence, we can solve our quadratic equation by writing x plus 1 equals to 0. This will give us x equals to negative 1. And another solution will come from the second factor, which is x plus 7 equals to 0. And this will give us x equals to negative 7. Therefore, our final answers are x equals to negative 1 and x equals to negative 7. Now, let us try to solve another quadratic equation without using calculator. So for this example, first of all, we will look at the coefficient of x squared. In this case, it is 1. Therefore, we can write 1x multiplied with 1x will give us x squared. Next, we will look at the number at the back here, which is we have 25. And we need to choose which two numbers to be multiplied so that we have 25. In this case, it is very easy, which we have 5 times by 5 will give us 25. And now, we will cross multiply 1x times 5 to give us 5x. And the same thing here, 1x times 5 will give us 5x. Next, we need to decide which signs to use so that when we add up these two, we will have 0x in the middle. So for this case, when we put plus 5x minus with 5x, we will have 0x. And now we will use plus sign for the first factor and negative sign for the second factor. And when we write these factors, it will be x plus 5 from the first factor and x minus 5 from the second factor equals to 0 on the right hand side. And hence, we can find the solution for this quadratic equation by writing x plus 5 equals to 0, which gives us x equals to negative 5. And another solution comes from the second factor, which is x minus 5 equals to 0, x equals to 5. Therefore, our final answers are x equals to negative 5 and x equals to 5.